Hi, I'm Amanda, and this is my FRP project that is on the influences on the African American identity. I want to focus on three theories and concepts that I feel are essential to learning about the African American identity and its development, which are the theory of double consciousness, the Nigressen's theory, and intersectionality. Um, which I'll define later. And I want to focus on three main points that are I feel are also essential to the African American identity, or three factors, which are racism and discrimination, traditions and values, and socioeconomic status. Um, my research topic significance is that this uh, this topic expands on and explains the background of African American identity and culture. Um, it provides crucial information necessary to understand how the identity of being African American has been formed and developed through, over time. And yeah, which then can lead to new ideas and new theories or values, traditions being developed. My thesis was that the African American identity is not a set definition. It includes multiple identities and perspectives, theories and concepts, traits, social standards, and thought processes. The identity concept includes past and present generations' history, including the socioeconomic status that comes with being African American, the racism and discrimination that different individuals experience, and traditions and values that have been prevalent in the African American community. And which one of which question of mine does this thesis answer? What specific factors influence the African American identity? What is valued, and how has history further developed African American identity over time? I'm going to start with the three theories and concepts that I mainly focused on. So first is Du Bois's theory of double consciousness, which is a sociological concept of the feeling of two-ness that is experienced by African Americans. I wanted to bring light to this quote that's on the screen because I think that it like shows the tension that is created inside of an African American as they struggle with the identities that they have. There's this feeling of wanting to be accepted and assimilated into the majority group by adopting their values, traditions, and other aspects of the majority's daily lives. But there's also the feeling of not wanting to leave their African culture and heritage behind, which creates um, a feeling of being pulled out from two different sides. The second theory that I want to focus on is the Nigressen's theory, which is William Cross's theory on the development of an individual's Black racial identity. This is a psychological perspective, which can be broken down into 4 or 5 different stages. Um, First is the pre-encounter person, which is the initial phase where an individual absorbs the value that the majority holds. In this case, the majority is white Americans. These individuals have limited awareness of their Black identity. The second stage, which is the encounter stage, isn't necessarily like a full stage, but it happens once an individual experiences either a single event or a series of events that leads them to question their worldview and racial attitudes. So they may experience some sort of racism or discrimination that kind of kickstarts this questioning and pushes them towards the third stage, which is the emergent stage, which is the central part of the Nigressen's perspective. It's the transitional part of the process of an individual's Black identity transformation. The individual wants to distance themselves from their pre-encounter identity, but can struggle with or may be uncertain on how to do this and how to create a new identity based upon Black consciousness. this individual would work to immerse themselves in Black culture, history, and relationships, and in turn, they will emerge from this process with a new perspective and view of the world, which was influenced by the previous factors stated. The fourth stage is the internalization stage, where the new knowledge and view on the world is developed, which includes normalizing this new identity and making it true to the individual. And the fifth part of the progress, which is internalization commitment, is derived from stages 3 and 4, in which during this stage people gradually become more and more comfortable with the choices they have made and the person they have now become. And then the third thing I want to focus on is intersectionality, which is the concept of different aspects of one identity that can include race, class, and gender, among other things, to intersect and to create experiences of privilege and discrimination. African Americans go through many experiences that lead to their identity and world outlook being changed and altered. This intersection may also lead to specific unique challenges or setbacks that minority groups may face in their everyday lives, but different characteristics can lead to different experiences. For example, a different socioeconomic standing may bring different types of discrimination to Black families. Upper middle class families may experience discrimination in employment areas or live in neighborhoods with fewer resources compared to the white majority or their white counterparts, while lower income families may face poverty, leading to disparities in education and limited opportunities. My first major point is racism and discrimination. Throughout history, racism and discrimination have both held a large role in the lives and experiences of African Americans, which in turn shapes the African American identity and feelings surrounding being African American. Racism has been faced throughout multiple generations. Oppression and injustices have been laced throughout history. African Americans have been denied the right to life, changing their views on the world surrounding them. I want to quote Du Bois, start quote, "To be a poor man is hard, but to be a poor race in a land of dollars is the very bottom of hardships." He felt the weight of his ignorance, not simply of letters, but of life, of business, of the humanities, that accumulated sloth and shirking and awkwardness of decades and centuries shackled his hands and feet. End quote. Because of this racial oppression and discrimination, African Americans have faced a large number of setbacks in multiple realms. There was no prior knowledge on the navigation of the world of politics or of business because of the racism and discrimination that these individuals and groups have faced. These experiences led to different views being developed and passed on throughout generations, which have changed and molded the ideology behind the African American identity. Tradition and family. Traditions, values, and stories are passed down through multiple generations, which all take part in the formation of the identity associated with being African American. A tradition that is highly pushed throughout the African American community is marriage. Quote, critical race and gender scholars have argued that for African Americans, marriage also serves as a symbol of respectable citizenship. End quote. This push for marriage ties into wanting to feel normal, or marriage is viewed as a way to negate negative stereotypes surrounding African Americans and family life as they are adopting the ideology that the majority abides by. Community is also brought together and emphasized in many ways in African American culture. I want to focus on food because it's a large part of community and gatherings. Food has been used as a way to preserve African American history and culture. Quote, the meals African Americans used for survival and cultural retention remained steadfast in the community and played an important role in the significant historical events, particularly the struggle for Black self-determination, end quote. Food has been used to bring friends and family together to bond and share history and stories to new and old generations. Shared meals are part of the backbone of African American culture and identity because these meals foster community and they are a way to carry and pass on history, culture, and tradition while also showing resilience and compassion towards one another. Socioeconomic status. In the present day, some of the factors that influence the socioeconomic status of African Americans are education disparities, neighborhood conditions, and income and wealth inequalities. Poverty plays a huge role in the socioeconomic status of African Americans. Quote, African Americans and Latinos are most likely to attend high poverty schools than Asian Americans and Caucasians. End quote. The American Psychological Association also claims that 39% of African American children and adolescents live in poverty. Because of this, there may be less access to education, jobs, and resources for these minority groups, which in turn lowers the socioeconomic status that African Americans specifically in this case hold. Adults living in poverty are also more susceptible to worse health outcomes. They may not have adequate access to care, or there may be a barrier when making major health decisions. Quote, racial and ethnic minorities have worse overall health than that of white Americans. Health disparities may stem from economic determinants, education, geography, and neighborhood environment, lower quality care, inadequate access to care, inability to navigate the system, provider ignorance or bias, and stress, end quote. These factors all influence the socioeconomic status of African American. All are ways that can be disadvantages and may halt or lessen the opportunities given to African Americans. This changes views and values held within the community, in turn pushing and changing the definition that being African American holds. In conclusion, the African American identity has been developed and changed throughout history and generations. There are multiple concepts and theories associated with learning and understanding the idea behind the African American identity. Being able to acknowledge these perspectives and influences of historical events is vital to developing the understanding of African American identity. Racism and discrimination, family and tradition, and socioeconomic factors all hold a crucial part in the development of the African American identity. These factors influence changes to African American communities and traditions throughout the past and through the present. Here are my references, and that's it. Thank you.